भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ नमो भगवते वैवस्वताय मृत्यवे ब्रह्म विद्याचार्याय नचिकेतसे च नरेण अवरेण प्रोक्तः एष सुविज्ञेयः बहुधा चिन्त्यमानः अनन्यप्रोक्ते गतिरत्र नास्ति अतर्क्यम् अनुप्रमाणात्. So this is very important verse. न नरेण अवरेण प्रोक्तः एषः सुविज्ञेयः. एषः this सुविज्ञेयः is properly understood, well understood. When absolute locative construction अवरेण नरेण प्रोक्ते सति प्रोक्ते. So that means what? When the Atma is expounded by somebody who pretends to understand it but doesn't understand it. And you will know that, immediately that it doesn't work. You see? So, avara means inferior. Nara, human being. Nariyate iti naraha. So, the human being, inferior human being means what? Does the person not have, in terms of money, inferior? In terms of height, inferior? In terms of weight, inferior? No. In terms of not just preparedness or knowledge or understanding, but in terms of assimilating the knowledge. Knowledge, anyway, you can read a book, a very good translation of Upanishad, you can buy. There are so many books coming out now from Pujya Swamiji, and people do this, And in fact, Swamiji himself told me that people do this. They will buy the Gita home study, which you all know is there. They will buy the Gita home study, and after buying the Gita home study, they will read up that particular mantra or the verse. And then what will they do after that? They will start teaching based on reciting that verse. What is the verse? So let us say any verse. Maya tatamidam sarvam, I am that which is everything. So this is the verse, and that verse is what? This verse is completely, let's settle down. There we go. So this verse is completely, difficult to expound even if it has been taught to one. Maya tatamidam sarva. This, all that is here is verily pervaded by me, but I am not any one of them. That is the verse from the 9th chapter. So imagine just memorizing the pages in the Gita home study. This is called parrot learning, Parrot just repeats. So the parrot here, which parrot? Teacher parrot from the book has learnt and then starts to give classes. Pujya Swamiji himself said, one time he was being asked, what is your signature contribution to Vedanta? And he said Gita home study, because it is whatever. And he says it is a mixed bag. Because people get that and they think they know everything and they stop coming to classes. Gita home study people are known for not attending classes because they feel they already know. Why? Because they feel like everything is nicely given. And you just read up and then you pontificate. You just, wax eloquent, throw around a few words. That you can do with any subject matter. You can educate yourself on the concepts of microbiology or physics or whatever, and then teach. In fact, every subject is taught that way. You can learn yoga and then teach. But really speaking, there is a difference between what? There's a difference between a couple of things we have to see here. The difference between microbiology and what else? And Vedanta is the following. Microbiology is always separate from you being aparavidya. Correct? Aparavidya means non-ultimate knowledge. Not the ultimate knowledge, non-ultimate knowledge. And then what? So it is separate from you. Everything that you learn which is not ultimate is separate from you. The knowledge of objects is always non-ultimate. Microbiology is the knowledge of objects. Botany is the knowledge of objects. Zoology is the knowledge of objects. Physics is the knowledge of objects. So the knowledge of objects is non-ultimate because it's other than you. The knowledge of subject is what? You itself. So the knowledge of object is, you can do the parrot recitation and you can convince a few people that you know. There is a saying, you can fool some of the people some of the time. You can fool all the people some of the time. But you can't fool all the people all the time. That is what it is. So here you can kind of wing it. And even if you don't wing it, that is the ultimate of what you know is always going to be separate from you, because this is the knowledge of mithya. The mithya means the object, all the objects around you, because they are non-ultimate. But the knowledge of the subject is non-separate from you. You cannot objectify the knowledge of the subject. So reading Gita home study or anything and reciting it with the parrot consciousness is not going to be of any help. Why? Because as long as that knowledge is separate from you, it is not going to yield results. That is the whole idea. So avara here means not inferior in terms of anything. Inferior in terms of having assimilated the knowledge. So a wrong teacher, avara naraha, avarena narena proktaha, eshaha na suvigneyaha. It's not properly understood at all. It's very ill understood. And here you can say it is the fault of the teacher. Why? Because the so-called teacher is not a teacher. It's the fault of you cannot say it's the fault of the teacher, it's the fault of the non-teacher, because the teacher is not a teacher here. And then the cause of that, why is that like that? Why is that if somebody hasn't internalized the Atma, they don't become the proper carriers of this knowledge? Is given Bahudha Chintyamanatvat. Chintyamanaha means being thought of in many, many ways. And we saw last week how many ways, are there. Bandied about to get the Atma. Catch the nose, catch the toes, do this, do that, Cross the eyes and you'll get the Atma and, do all kinds of things. Stand on your head. I don't mind people standing on their head. Anything to give blood circulation to the brain cells, I'm all for it. So this is what we have to see, is that, this Bahudha Chintyamanaha means that Atma is subject to many wrong notions. Some persons say there is actually Jadavada. Jadavada means Atma is Jada. Jada means what? What is Chit?
Oh, sentient, inert.
Yeah. Jada means insentient. Chit means sentient. Yeah, Chit, Jada. Always remember that's the opposite. Chit, sentient. Jada, insentient. So they'll say, there is one particular ancient school of thought that says Atma is Jada. Who is Atma? I am Atma. That means what? I am Jada. I am of myself telling. I am inert. How can you say you are inert? If you are inert, how can you talk? Oh, I'm getting a headache. Don't give me too much to think. And then another person says Atma is Chit. That is what Vedanta also says. And another person says there are actually two Chits, not one Chit. It's not. It's not. The limitlessness is thrown out of the window because they are not thinking people. There are two Chits. One is Atma. Another one is what? Paramatma. Two Chits. One small Chit. One big Chit. What is this? Apples or what? One big apple, one small apple, one medium-sized apple. This is what non-thinking. And then the third fellow comes along and says, come on, you all don't fight. Like something between Republicans and Democrats. This fellow is independent. What does this fellow say? Let us compromise. Let us mediate between the two. One that says Atma is Chit, another that says Atma is Jada. Let us compromise and say little bit of Atma is Chit, little bit of Atma is Jada. What? No, I just told you. You heard me. What do you mean by saying what? Atma is both Chit and Jada. Let us just say that is Chit Jadayoho Samuchayaha. Samuchayaha means the coming together of Chit and Jada make the Atma. Then you say, how come? See, what about the nails? Are the nails inert or sentient? Well, yeah, that is true. Nails are inert. Are you sentient or insentient? Yeah, I am sentient. But in that same you, the nail is insentient. The hair is insentient. And then, because if I go like this, if I pinch the nail, nothing happens. If I go knock on the nail, you're not screaming. But here, just next to the nail, if I pinch this part, you go, ah. So same thing with hair. If the hair is cut, nobody needs general anesthesia to go have haircut, correct? It is Jada. But then if the head is nicked, everything, the whole roof falls down. So that means Atma is Chit and Jada. These people are again now thinking. In fact, the whole body is Jada. That which infuses the body with life is what? Chit, Atma. Body is Atma. Atma, not the body. And these people don't understand that if the nail was really inert, why would it keep growing? Nail and hair, if they are inert, why would it keep growing? So that also is just non-thinking people. Suddenly I don't know what they had for dinner. Sometimes, if there's a mild case of food poisoning, you start to have this Brahma. Something you ate didn't quite sit well with you, and you start pontificating all kinds of things. That is why the teaching has to be properly understood. That's why the teaching always says what? The teaching says that na narena avarena proktaha esha atma suvigneya. This is not something to be toyed with. Many people think they know. In fact, they are convinced they know. They will come and ask me one question. I've had this experience so many times. And then, I will think about it. I take their question seriously. And then I start responding. I have hardly put out one sentence from, the mouth. Immediately they'll say, I know. And I know what you're going to say next. And I know that also. And I know. And this is what it is. And so therefore, already the mind is made up that I know. There is this feeling, I know. Or they put themselves under a lot of pressure thinking I should know. Because I have studied for so many years. Because I have had a guru. Because I am studying Vedanta for 5 years, I should know. It's a tremendous amount of pressure to put on oneself. And it's a tremendous amount of pressure because you're holding yourself to some invisible, horrible scales of perfectionism inside your own, psyche. You're trapped by your own psyche. Number one. Number two, and all those pockets of error, vagueness, and, non-understanding, non-comprehension, doubts. There is no chance to fill them up. All those pockets will always be empty, because there is no chance to fill them up, because in order to fill those areas of doubt, error and vagueness, you have to admit you don't know, or that what you know is not translating into action, or is not assimilating properly. You have to admit that. But people will not admit that. People will say, I know, and I have done this, I have studied this. And this becomes a big drawback, because the various contentions have not been completely understood, processed and dismissed. Contentions about what? Oneself. So then the next line says, Ananya Prokte. Ananya means non-separate. Anyat, separate. Ananya Prokte Gatihi Atra Nasti. There are two meanings for Ananya Prokte, and there are three meanings for the word Gati. That's why I had already introduced this by saying that this is a lot of word play and pun. Pun and word play is very much there in this whole what's its name? In this whole verse, in this particular mantra. Ananya Prokte. Ananya Prokte means when taught. So we have had one contrast. What was the first contrast? When it's taught by a person of inferior understanding, the Atma is not understood. So then of course now what is our next question? When is it understood? So it is understood. Ananya Prokte, it is understood. Prokte means taught. Ananya Prokte means what? Taught by someone who is non-separate from the Atma. Taught by a non-dualist. Meaning what? The one who is teaching has to have that Sarvatma Bhava because of being exposed to that knowledge and the teaching. From who? From his teacher, from her teacher, from his teacher, from her teacher, like that. So that person has to have no doubt that what I am teaching is not separate from me. I am just teaching myself. Everything is, I am teaching about myself. Subject is me. The object is also me, resolves in I. Object resolves into the subject. Subject doesn't resolve into anything else. And then what else? The third thing is very important, is that the subject matter is also non-separate from the person, which is very different from teaching, like I pointed out earlier, microbiology and other things. A person teaching microbiology for 10 years will not turn into a microbe. Correct? Yeah. Suddenly you are waiting for the professor to come into the room, and then instead of looking up to the person, you have to look down. He's crawling into the room. Became a Shatpadi. Shatpadi means what? Six-legged one. Like a spider or bee or something, who is buzzing. The professor is buzzing in the classroom, became a microbe. Yeah. Because can't talk, only can buzz. That's the lecture you have. Why? Because the professor became one with the subject matter. Similarly, the teacher of botany became green, and in the fall became yellow. That never happens, because that is what I am saying. There is a separation between the subject matter and the person. All this aparavidya. But in paravidya, para means the ultimate knowledge of oneself. Brahmavit, the knower of Brahman, Brahmaiva Bhavati, is Brahman alone. The knower of Brahman means the teacher of Brahman is Brahman. Oh, but this is not fair. What about the student of Brahman? Student of Brahman is also Brahman. When are we saying student of Brahman is Ab-Brahman? Yeah, but why are you singling out the teacher? Because here we are talking about the teacher who knows that. Oh, but what about the student? The student is still in the process of knowing that. That's why it's called student. So, this is a very telling point. Ananya Prokte means the person who has internalized the subject matter to such a degree that there is nothing other than that person. Ananya Proktaha. Then only it is Suvigneyaha. This is very evident, because you can you can see this. You can see this, so many teachers are there, so many Vedanta classes are there and everything. And then you can see this, that when taught, when a certain person who has learnt it well teaches it, the whole experience of sitting in that classroom is very different than somebody who is just, pontificating or repeating something they have heard without really it having touched their lives. So therefore, in the first instance, the first meaning of the word ananya here is what? It goes with the subject. Ananyena proktaha, taught by somebody who is non-separate from the teaching, from the subject matter, then it is suvigneya. We can take one meaning. Or, did you understand this meaning? Because afterwards there is going to be a quiz on all these various meanings. Did you understand this one?
Yes.
Want me to repeat it?
Yes.
Yes. Both yes. Understood? Yes. Want me to repeat? Yes. Okay, here it is. So, ananya here refers to the teacher. The ananya, the word ananya goes with the subject, meaning the teacher is ananya. And when the teacher is ananya, means non-separate from what? The subject matter of the teaching, then the comprehension takes place in the mind of the student. Understood?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Want me to repeat it?
No.
Good. Okay, we have an agreement. All right. First instance, ananya goes with the subject, which is the teacher. In the second meaning, ananya is also the subject matter, can be taken to mean the subject matter. So the teacher is silent here. Teacher is already understood. Is just extrapolated by the reference there. So here ananya means the subject matter. The subject matter, when it is taught, when the non-separate subject matter is taught, then the comprehension takes place. So the first is the non-separate teacher, the teacher who is non-separate from the subject matter when they teach, then the comprehension takes place. And then what? When the teacher, who is silent here, who is just inferred in the sentence, when the non-separate subject matter is taught, well, then the comprehension takes place. Second meaning of the word ananya, ananya here becomes the object of the teaching, not the subject, which is the teacher. Understood? Want me to repeat it? Everything is, yes. So, let's try one more time. So, ananya means, anya means what? Separate. Ananya means what? Non-separate. So here the non-separate does not qualify the teacher, it qualifies the subject matter of the teaching. Yeah. So when the teacher, who is not qualified here by non-separate or separate or inferior or superior, when the teacher, who is inferred in the sentence, not named, when the teacher is engaged in teaching about the subject matter that is non-separate from everything else, then the comprehension takes place. So the ananya here qualifies the atma, which is the subject matter of the teaching, rather than qualifying the teacher. Understood?
Yes.
Want me to repeat it?
No.
No. Okay. Progress. You see, the confusion is here because the teacher taught and the subject matter are all one and the same. That's why you have to kind of plow through it, and that's why I'm using the grammatic angle. And so when the mind is sharpened by this kind of a engagement, then things go in quicker. So now, ananya prokte, we know the two meanings of ananya, correct?
Yes.
Want me to repeat them? No. Okay. So, then gatihi look at the text, gatihi atra nasti. Let us just look at the, what is that, translation. Atra, here, gatihi, gati means progress, gatihi atra nasti. And the gati here has many meanings, at least 2, but maybe even 3 we can eke out. Let us see. Ananya prokte sati, when either the subject matter is ananya, non-separate, and or the teacher is ananya. Actually, the ideal case is when the ananya teacher is teaching the ananya subject matter in an ananya fashion. Then what? Gatihi atra nasti. Gatihi means movement. There is no movement. Movement means what? All options drop off. First meaning. That Atma is little chit, little jada. Atma is sometimes there, sometimes not there. The truth of Atma is Shunya. All these options drop off. Why? Because Ananya teacher is teaching the Ananya subject matter in an Ananya way. Ananya Atma, who is the teacher, is teaching Ananya Atma, which is the subject matter, in an Ananya way. In a non-separate, non-dual way. So it's Ananya, 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 all the way. As a result, there is no more Gati. Gati means what? Too many options about the Atma start to wind down and there is no more movement. Gatihi atra nasti. And then second, the Gati has another meaning. Gati also means samsara. Why samsara is called movement? Huh? So sorrow go round, sorry go round, not merry go round. Because it keeps going round and round and round. In between lives also one keeps getting born and died and born and died and born and gone and born and gone. Born and gone and born and gone and born and gone and gone and born and gone and born and born, gone, gone. So what about is? Sometimes is. Born, gone, gone, born, gone. This is called Gati. Yeah. Because each time one comes, one becomes a karma hunter, collects karma, and then what? Puts it in the bank account. Poor Chitragupta, yeah. That is the problem. Poor Chitragupta, the banker, Devata, who is in charge of karma, is getting grey hairs because how many jivas, accounts to manage, all this karma, who did what to whom and in which lifetime, and all these things have to be keeping on recycled bodies we get. And now they are saying that now they are going to send, this is a little aside but well worth it, now they are going to send in a few years, don't get too excited right now, in a few years they are going to send, you can write to this some agency, and they are going to send test your DNA at home kit in a few years. So one Q-tip will be there, you take a swab, you analyze it, and they right there, and then you send them the thing and they send all the results to you. And there they will tell you that if you live up to 90 years old, these are the diseases you can reliably be assured of having. Now, who wants to know this? There will always be people who want to pay for this service. They are thinking it's if you know that you're going to have all these diseases when you're 90, when you're 50 itself, then you can do some crash course of yoga, crash course diet, crash course exercise. You can do all these things and perhaps beat Lord Yama and eke out a few more years of healthy living. That is the idea. So then, but the whole point of this, giving this little aside, was that the DNA itself has within it the seeds of its destruction, the seeds of its decay. So the karmic imprint of what diseases that one is going to have is already there. To what extent those possibilities collapse, to what extent they don't, collapse means realize themselves and fructify. And to what extent they don't is also dependent a little bit upon one's free will and a little bit upon Purva Punya, the good karma also. So you see, there are all these complex things in play. If two people get the same disease, why one person, is able to manage it and the other one is not? Now one person dies from it, other person is able to beat it, and the third one is able to kind of complainingly manage it and drag themselves around. So what is the difference? It is this karma. So this is called Gati. running around in circles because the karma can never be exhausted except by,
Moksha.
yes, how do you get moksha?
Studying Vedanta.
Huh? Knowledge.
Knowledge.
Yeah. Karma cannot be exhausted except by knowledge. By knowledge, karma is not exhausted, the karta is dropped. The sense of doership is dropped. That was then, this is now. One awakens to the fact that one was never a doer. So it's like a dead person's bank account. You know, we read in the elections that some lady who was in the Congress died earlier this year. But they could not remove the name from the ballot because it was already too late and some outdated laws. So she won the election, you see. So how can the dead person win the election? That's exactly how can the person who is dead to the karma, dead to the sense of doership, accrue karma same way. Same way. It's like a dead person winning the election. Very good example, I think. You know, excellent example because the person is already gone and then the election has won. So they are not going to occupy the office. It's totally meaningless. So all kinds of gain and loss are meaningless when one awakens to the glory of oneself as the truth of everything, as the one who is not the doer. One who is not stuck in this do or die situation, always just addicted to doership, like that bull, you know, stuck to the oil press going round and round because it can't go any other way. This is the whole thing. So this is called gati. Gati means the karma chaser. Yeah. You know, there are these tornado chasers. These people, you know, they just, they have 9 lives like cats. They are daredevils. And they will go, you can see this thing, you know, Kansas, that's where everything happens. And so these tornadoes, then, you know, I saw this, they're somewhere in the heart of Kansas, and then they see this plume coming out like this, and they are going, the jeep is there in this big SUV kind of thing which has everything, food, they don't have to leave that at all. And they are going right into the eye of the tornado while having the video camera on.
Yeah.
They are called tornado chasers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we may be in awe of them because they do really good work. You know, they make National Geographic more exhilarating than the Mystery Channel because they just it's full of, you know, it's like this nail biting thing when they see these storms are being chased like this at such close hand. And then what, you know, why are we in awe of them? All the jivas are karma tornado chasers. By default or by desire, design or default, doesn't matter. One keeps chasing after these karma tornadoes. And in between these tornadoes there is a little bit of rainbow, little bit of good karma, little bit of something that I can just, you know, do this little enjoyment. This is called samsara gatihi. The one who is an experience hunter. A karma hunter is an experience hunter. Punya hunter, ever after hunter, heaven hunter, you know, Swarga hunter. All these people are you know, have to be herded together for this. So these hunters hunt. Why do they hunt? For experiences. Why does the jiva hunt for karma? Why does the jiva is restless and keeps wanting this samsara, keeps getting caught in samsara? Why? Because of self-ignorance. Yeah. The self-ignorance makes one not understand what is it that one really wants. And as a result, what does one do? One thinks that one wants something that one really does not want. Most of the things that one thinks one wants, one does not want. That's why there are garage sales. This is how everything ends up in the garage. Because all the things that you have in the garage, the poor car is standing outside, even in Eugene rain. And then, you know, the garage is filled with all kinds of things that were very dear to one in the beginning. And then that which was dear becomes what? Non-dear. Yeah. And then it finds somehow its way into the garage, because you cannot stand to have it in the house anymore. And you can't stand to get rid of it either. This is the jiva. Put everything in the garage. And then when you can't stand to go into the garage, one weekend have garage sale. Neighbors are very obliging, they will come. You buy their junk and very faithfully they will buy your junk. That's another reason why all the garages are still full. One, this is a neighborhood story. One lady gave another family a Christmas present, And Christmas presents are notorious for what? One thing. What are they notorious? For being returned, okay?
Oh.
So, or re-gifting, whatever, re-gifting, either way, or being got rid of somehow. So they didn't have, because it was a gift, they didn't have the piece of paper receipt that came with it. So they didn't like it, so they stuck it in the garage. And next time they had a garage sale, because by that time they had forgotten even that the lady who gave it just lives 2 doors down. So the first person to come to the garage sale was the lady who had gifted this family the present. And she was so outraged. How dare you do this? This is what I gave you 2 Christmases ago. How can you do this? She was so upset that she bought it back. She paid for it twice. Okay? So this is the karma hunter, the experience hunter. And this hunter is the one who is, first one hunts for karma and then one is hunted by karma phala. You see the chain here? You hunt for all these things, and then when you hunt for various ways to express yourselves, you hunt for various ways to come out on top, and all these pursuits and everything. You take initiative, and then what happens? The karma phala, the result of those initiatives, they start to chase you. First you think you are chasing them, but then they start to chase you. It's like catching a tiger's tail. This fellow went to the forest, and when tiger was, the animals, unlike people, don't kill if they are full, okay? So even if one has the bad karma to encounter a lion or tiger, the quick prayer that should pass the lips is, may you have eaten recently. Enough time for me to run away. So because of his good karma, he contacted a tiger that was least bit interested in him. It was just sitting there swishing its tail. So emboldened, he went and caught a hold of its tail. The tiger jumped up because it was frightened. It said, what is this, And he showed the tail to all the people. He stood on a hillock, where the tiger was sunning itself, and he showed the tail to all the people. I am so brave. I have caught the tiger by the tail. And then the tiger took off, because the tiger was angry, upset and scared all at once. And then what? Do you think he could leave the tail? Because the tiger is growling, hissing, and it's really mad, and it's gone off. So this is the saying, catching hold of the tiger's tail. You can catch hold of it, but you cannot let it go. Samsara is like a tiger's tail. In the beginning you feel on top. Yes, I have all the ducks in a row, I have everything nicely, my samsara is doing very well. And then what? Then it starts to get the better of you. It starts to slowly creep up when you're not looking. You look and it doesn't move. Then you are quiet and it starts to creep up. Like a poltergeist. Poltergeist? Am I saying it correctly?
Mm-hmm.
Poltergeist. Like that. And so, this is a very scary ordeal. This is what is called gati. One small word, gati. This whole thing, it shows. So this gati, thankfully, is not there. Thank God. When is it not there? When the Ananya Atma is taught in an Ananya way by the Ananya teacher who is Ananya. So when the non-dual Atma is non-dually communicated by the teacher who has internalized this non-dual understanding, That's when all this other stuff that we talked about, don't ask me to repeat it, is not there. No storm chasing, no stormy karma, no tornadoes, no, wishing for some good karma to come and save. Nothing to be saved from, because one is not, one is not suffering. So there is no saving, one is already saved. This is the whole understanding. And then that is the second meaning of the word gati. What was the first meaning? We have time. I will wait.
Progress.
Karma.
That's not what I said.
No. Movement. Progress.
Only 10 minutes ago it was revealed.
Effects of karma of some kind, isn't it?
No. Only 10 minutes ago it was revealed. Anybody online? Are you listening? Are you even there? Yes? No? What?
It is understood. No.
I give up.
I cannot afford to give up.
I'm counting on that.
Let's see, maybe somebody online? No, not going. Okay, let us at least find out the second meaning. Second meaning, do you know or not? Second meaning of gati, which I just said. What is that? What kind of movement?
Samsara.
Within samsara and from one jiva to another jiva. Okay? That you have understood? Okay. First meaning is that gati here means options with relation to understanding the Atma. Except nobody is even saying that.
No, we don't know.
Yes. All the options, Atma is Chit, Atma is Jada, all these things drop away. Okay? Yeah. So what is the first meaning?
Options to understand.
Yeah, gati means options in relation to the Atma. Atma is not optional. Should I know the Atma? Should I not know the Atma? That is a gati. That drops away. And is Atma one or many? Drops away. Is Atma sentient or insentient? Drops away. Because the truth of the Atma, when it's communicated by an Ananya, there is no gati, no more options. And then there is no more adhogati. Adhogati means always downward spiral of samsara is not there. Second meaning. Ready for the third meaning? Yes? No? Maybe?
Yes.
Okay. Now, will you remember the first two meanings?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. The third meaning is derived by an interesting grammatical elision. No, not illusion. Elision. Grammatical elision. Like when, if you are saying you are good or you are here, if I want to say. When you write it in a colloquial way, how do you write it? You and then apostrophe, which signifies the elision of the letter A, and then you put RE. That's the kind of elision. So this is in Sanskrit also we have a similar elision, and this elision has to do with a particular grammatical thing which I am going to explain. And so Ananya Prokte ends in A, and then Gati Ratra Nasti. That Gati also could be eliding an A. Just like in you are, the A is gone. So then if the A is put back because of this particular rule, Engaha Padantat Ati, which I am not going to go into, that when A is followed by A, the A is elided. Okay? This is what is called elision. Grammatical elision is when you elide the A if it follows a diphthong A. Okay? So A plus A is still A. The A is gone. And the elision in English is signified by an apostrophe, and in Sanskrit it's signified by an S. It's called avagraha, means there should have been something there. We are just marking that. And that was not there before. It's a recent introduction. In ancient Sanskrit, you should just know the language enough to that it has been elided. But now they have been kinder to us and have marked the place where something should have been there by an S kind of a character called elision. So, if the is elided, then it becomes gati. If the is not elided, what does it become? Agati. So then we have to read it the other way as well. Ananya prokte agatihi atra nasti. Agatihi here can mean two things. Agati means what? Agati can mean wrong understanding. First mean. So if it is not there, then the wrong understanding of the Atma is not there. Misunderstanding, agati. Agatihi atra nasti. And then the other meaning, another meaning is there of agati. Agati means the, what is that? A certain kind of a stagnation with regard to one's spiritual growth. Agatihi. Coming to a standstill of one's spiritual growth is not there. Because the gati meant what? All the pursuits are gone, correct? First gati, all the options are gone. As the result of all the options being gone, all the pursuits are gone. Because what is there to pursue when you know that you are the whole? That is the only thing that is there to know. Once you understand that, all pursuits come to a standstill. You may pursue things because you want to, not because you have to. There is no pressure behind that. It's not like a tornado. It's more like your pursuits are more like a gentle breeze, not like the pressure of a tornado is not there. And then what? Agatihi atra nasti. Agati means a certain stagnation. In what? Again we can say in samsara, agati means samsara. Agati also means wrong comprehension. Got it?
Got
All the meanings? Yes. So, ananya prokte. Ananya, how many meanings? Two. Remember both of them? We'll revise these 5 things right now. Ananya, how many meanings? 2. What was the first one? Teacher being Ananya. Ananya means what, first of all?
Non-separate.
Non-separate. Abbaha. So the teacher, Ananya qualifies the subject, which is the teacher here. Okay? And the second meaning, Ananya qualifies what? The object, which is the taught. Yeah. Which is the subject matter. Yeah. The subject matter is Ananya. Taught by Ananya, taught in an Ananya way, then there is no gati. There are no more options left, either in terms of comprehension or in terms of activity. This is what is the idea. Comprehension, options, first meaning of gati, activities, second meaning of gati. And as a result, there is no agati, wrong end in samsara, or a stagnation in the growth of the person is not there. And therefore, and why is that is given in the next 2 words. Atarkyam. Na tarka yogyam. Atarkyam. Tarka means logic, not tadka that you put in the vegetables. Okay. Yeah. Tarka means logic. And when you put a, like agati, what is the, it negates it, correct? Atarka means what? Not worthy of logic. Not logical. Not the object of logic pramana. Not the object of inference. See, this is completely this thing. You cannot say Atma is illogical. It has nothing to do with logic. It's not revealed by, logic means inference. It has nothing, it is not revealed by inference. Because we are talking about the truth of the inferer. Yeah. The inferer cannot be revealed by inference because there is a subject-object problem here. Understood? Say yes, even if you
Yes.
haven't. Yeah. So the inferer cannot be revealed by inference. Because who is the one employing the pramana or the means of knowledge of inference? The inferer. So then how can the inferer be revealed by the inference which is being operated by oneself? It's not possible. We get into a fallacy called kartra karma virodha. Karta and karma meaning the subject-object contradiction. Yeah. Subject can only infer the object. So subject cannot infer subject. Oh, but I can stand in front of the mirror. What do you get when you stand in front of the mirror? What are you objectifying? The body. Oh, but I can read my thoughts. In fact, I can read yours also. Some people say that. So what are you objectifying? Me or my thoughts? My thoughts. So you're objectifying your thoughts, my thoughts, whatever it is. You're objectifying thoughts. You're not objectifying the person. That person alone is one, and it doesn't require to be objectified. Why? Because it is self-revealing. No other pramana is needed to establish the Atma. There is no pramana, no means of knowledge is needed to establish that which reveals everything else. And in addition, it reveals itself. That is what is called self-evident, self-revealing. Understood? Yeah. Because when I say, are you, that's why I keep asking, are you here? What will you answer?
Yes.
Yes. What is it that says yes? That is the self-revealing I, which can never be negated, which can never be denied. That I alone is subject to so many contentions, so many gatis, options. And so these contentions have to be dropped. These contentions are based on certain notions because of self-ignorance. They have to be dropped, and that teaching does not reveal the Atma. The teaching drops the notions surrounding the Atma. That I have internalized, that one has internalized. And so therefore what? Here atarkyam means it's not an object of inference. That is why you have to have the best of teachers. And you have to have the best of ways of communicating this. And you have to have the best of ways of internalizing this. So that really speaking, exposed to this kind of a teaching, it strikes home. No, but what if I am exposed to the best kind of teaching and yet nothing is happening? What then? What should I do? Huh? What should I do? This is a question. It's not a rhetorical question. I'm expecting an answer.
Try again.
How?
Atma-shuddhi.
How?
Pay
Atma-shuddhi,
more
how? How?
Dhamma, Shama.
Go back to the basics. What are the basics? Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, and if all else fails, Samadhanam, Mumukshutvam, and then before that, Viveka, Vairagya. Go back to the basics. Meaning what? The mind has to be prepared. And so either there is a block from the side of the teacher or there is a block from the side of the student. So here what was discussed was the ideal conditions through which the teaching can take place if the teacher is non-separate from the self, if the teacher knows that, and if the teacher communicates in a way that is inspiring, in a way that is, where you feel like understanding, in a way that you have kind of thought you have understood, as long as there is not a question afterwards. So, you thought you understood, but then what is it that makes one forget? It's not the memory. It's not the memory at all, because memory has nothing to do with this. Because it's all about you. Do you say, I remember, therefore I am? No, I am, therefore I remember. You see this? This has nothing to do with the memory. So the excuse that, if I was only 10 years younger when I came to Vedanta, I would outperform everyone else in the class. That does not hold true. Because this doesn't have to do with memory. And in fact, the Brahma Sutra says, one of the Brahma Sutra says that if the person of knowledge, if a jnani gets dementia, the jnanam doesn't go away. Because this has nothing to do with the mind. This has to do with that which is the observing even the mind. So therefore it is not an object of logic, it's not an object of inference, it's not an object of direct perception, it's not an object of anything. It is the subject that is self-revealing, and that self, it's such an interesting way that the self-revealing self need not be taught about, because I don't have to tell you, you are. That is the object of first class, Om Sahana Bhavatu, etc., which is the opening prayer. What is the teaching? Tvamasi, you are. And then after that what? Om Purnamadav Purnamidam. End of teaching. Does that ever happen? Who will come to such a class? No one will come. Because you already know you are. You don't have to come to the class to understand Tvamasi. You have to come to the class to understand what? Tat-tvamasi. That Tvamasi that you are is revealed as Tat. What is Tat? That which is the cause of the universe, that is which is non-separate from Bhagavan. That's why this emphasis on non-separation. Ananya, Ananya, Ananya everywhere. That non-separation is what is revealed, that you are non-separate from that you are, you don't have to consult somebody. Like the village simpleton who got on the bus. He was a little bit soft in understanding a lot of things, and everybody tolerated him, and unfortunately he became the object of many jokes. And then he got on the bus, and he said, where is this bus going? And then somebody said, this bus is going to Kumbakonam, which is a place. And he said, okay. And he climbed on the bus and sat inside the bus. And some other people who knew him in that village said, oh, but I saw you in Trichy. Trichy is another town on the in the other side. And then he said, really, when? Just now, you were there. And he should have said what? No, because I'm here. How can I be there? But being a simpleton, he said, I better go catch up with myself. And he got down the bus and got on the bus going to Trichy. This is just a story. And the story illustrates the impossibility of this happening, because I am the witness of everything here. Correct? And so this I am, I don't need somebody to tell me that, oh, how come you're in class, you are at home, oh, I better go home, No, nobody needs to tell me that you are here. I know I am. Nobody needs to tell me that you are. I am, nobody needs to tell me. What I am, that is subject to conclusions and confusions which leave me feeling less than what I am. You see, that is where the teaching has to dislodge those notions, those notional conclusions. That I am finite is removed by Tattvamasi knowledge, that I am useless, that I am abandoned, that nobody loves me, that I'll never understand this, that I'll never, get moksha, all these, all these thoughts the head is filled with. Those are the notions based on certain wrong conclusions that I have come about about the nature of this I. So the I is not revealed because it doesn't need to be revealed. The nature of the I as Tat, the cause of the universe, that God, that which I regard as God is indeed myself. That is what is revealed through this knowledge. That's why it is Ananya, Ananya, Ananya all the way. Because the one who has internalized the knowledge is Ananya, the one who is teaching is Ananya, the one who is taught is Ananya, the subject matter is Ananya. Everything is Ananya. And this is the reason it is not open to what? Any kind of inference. Anupramanat. Anupramanat means being subtler than the subtlest. It is so subtle that you think you have understood. But when asked to repeat it, you don't know what to say. It is that subtle. Subtler than the subtlest. And the same Upanishad is going to tell later. Lord Yama likes this word Anu. Anupramanat he says here, and later on he's going to say Anoho Aniyan Mahato Mahiyan Atma Asya Jantoho Nihito Guhayam. Smaller than the smallest, subtler than the subtlest. Oh, it's so subtle then, it's not big. Then he says bigger than the biggest. Mahato Mahiyan. And this Atma inside this Jiva is hidden. The truth of the self is hidden. And that, the outing of this hidden truth is the teaching. Not that you are. You are Tvamasi, everybody knows. But what is being taught is the miracle of how Tat Tvamasi works. Understood? Say yes.
Yes.
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Any questions are there?
How would you define Anu?
Anu? Atom. Smaller than an atom.
I know someone with that name.
No, that could be Anu.
Yeah.
Yeah, not Anu. Na. This is a cerebral Na. Yeah. Generally, people are not named Anu. Means you're naming the child a microscopic thing. Yeah. So, it must be Anu. Anuradha, short for Anuradha, or Anuradha is the name of an important star in the Scorpio constellation. So it could be that, so every star has a name. Yeah, so Anu could be that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Anu also means in keeping with, if there is no long form. Yeah, Anusarati, in keeping with, goes after. Other questions?
Yes. I want to see this.
Sure, I'll see anything.